I think of all the challenges that we face for humanity going forward, it has to be leadership being the biggest challenge. As we stand almost the end of the first decade of the 21st century, the year 2010 itself, if we look backward and ask ourselves what really matter in shaping humanity and what would really matter going forward. Is it technology? Is it innovations, discoveries, or knowledge? Very quickly we realize that all these are neutral. So the one thing and one active agent in all of this is really leadership. So I think shaping the future generation of leaders would be one of the top challenges of leaders of today. I think the ideal leader would have to be a compassionate person who can identify himself or herself with people who are upstream and people who are really your everyday man on the street. He would also have to have the ability to think very quickly and to be agile in applying methods that would help to solve issues. But most importantly, I think he has to be someone who thinks more about the common good for mankind and society and Earth rather than just profits for himself alone. In the community of the young global leaders, we have a very interesting mix of people from all across the sectors, the people sector, public sector and the private sector. Each one of them bring with them very, very good qualities that enable them to rise to where they are today. But what I think we need to do is to connect more and to learn how to collaborate with each other, not just across sector, but also across geographical regions, and not to talk only about the problems that we face in our everyday life or in our own context itself, but rather to see how these problems relate to solutions or problems elsewhere and try to work together to find common solutions for common challenges. I've learned a lot about social innovation from the YGL community, but also from the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurs. And what I did was, back home, I created a new NGO called the Social Innovation Park that is a movement to build a more inclusive, sustainable, and better world. And what we do is that we bring three parties together, meaning the public, private, and people sector together into conversation tables on the same side of the table so that they could start talking about common challenges and issues and collaborations that can happen. And that has actually given rise to quite a number of projects on the ground, and we currently support about 60 to 100 social entrepreneurs in Singapore itself, but also the movement has spread to about 8 other countries where the social entrepreneurs there can tap on our network, our resources to further their causes within their own context. Leadership in the world of 2020, as I could imagine or want it to be, would be one that puts value system above all other material possessions. I think the leadership of the last few decades itself has put a lot of emphasis on GDP growth in the case of countries, on PE ratios of a company and market cap, and of course on the individual basis puts a lot of emphasis on individual net worth and of course salaries and all. But that I think is no way to measure a country or a company or an individual's progress. It measures the material well-being, but it doesn't measure all the other aspects of the humanity itself, like health, like psychological well-being, spiritual well-being, and all of these things which makes us human. So leadership in the 2020, in the best case scenario, I would imagine would be one that leads us towards a much more value-based society and growth that takes into consideration all these components. And if we can get some of these ethos right, some of these values right, then I think the world will be a better place.